everybody, for coming here this morning, and we're here to talk about some more of our good news that came out of this budget that passed and went into effect on July the 1st. One of the areas that we've been focused on for a long time in my administration is closing the wealth gap amongst Louisvillians, particularly amongst our black and minority residents compared to our white population. And this is a national issue, obviously, but we got to take care of our own business right here in Louisville. And to close the gap, which has its roots in history and institutionalized racism and all kinds of other challenges that have faced America, we've got to take a multi-pronged approach to do so. So a couple different steps. One is investing in more affordable housing. We've allocated an additional $10 million in this budget to the Louisville Affordable Housing Trust. The trust fund is we're doing that to take a whack at the 31,000 units of affordable housing that are needed for our city's lowest income households, below 30% adjusted median income. And the wild thing about that, that's obviously a big number. Every city in America has kind of the same percentage problem. So when you put together all this together all across the country, it is a huge national problem for us. So we're doing our part a little bit at a time. Bill Hollander in particular with the Metro Council has been a wonderful champion for the Louisville Affordable Housing Trust Fund and dedicated a big part of his time in office to making sure we're doing better here. So affordable housing, number one. Number two, investing in small business support. Last week we announced the launch of a new minority business incubator called The Well. We've also dedicated $2.5 million for a new small business assistance fund and $1.5 million additional dollars for our Metco small business loan program. And that approach or strategy that we have also includes funds for down payment assistance and home repair programs through the Office of Housing, which help our low to moderate income individuals access and retain home ownership and build generational wealth. So when you think again back history-wise, and we all know about the impact of redlining in the United States and its negative impacts on black households, in particular from getting a mortgage so that they could build home ownership wealth. And home ownership wealth is number one item that passes down generation to generation. But if you were excluded from having that wealth building opportunity simply because of your race or your income level, that's inexcusable. It's part of government activity in the past, and clearly we're working in the present, in the future, to make sure that is no longer possible, and then doing things on top of that, such as our down payment assistance and home repair programs, to make sure that we're getting more equitable outcomes in our city. Because we know home ownership is the number one way to build long-lasting wealth, and that not everyone has the same access to home ownership. The statistics bear that out. In Louisville, for example, only 37.2% of black residents own their homes. That's lagging behind the nation. The national average is 41.8% of black residents own their homes. Again, 41.8 to our 37.2. Now, on our down payment homeowner assistance, 69% of our down payment assistance grants have gone to black residents. And that 69% compares to 24% of Louisville being a black population. So that's an example of equitable distribution of government funds. Now, oftentimes what we find is the main barrier to home ownership is the down payment. There are a lot of people that have been paying rent on time for decades and decades, but for whatever reason they can't come up with the down payment. So when most all of your paycheck is going toward rent, utilities, food, other necessities, it's sometimes difficult or impossible to save up for a down payment on a home. And that's where the down payment assistance program comes into place. Louisville Metro area residents earning 80% of area median income or less, so that's $61,500 a year or less for a family of four. This program steps up by paying up to 20% of the home purchase price and closing costs, thus eliminating a huge barrier to home ownership for these residents. So again, proven track record, paying rent, can't come up with a mortgage. This program steps in. It's one of my favorite programs because it changes people's lives. In the fiscal year 22 budget, we've tripled the funding for the down payment assistance program to $3 million, which will allow us to help roughly 150 households with an average assistance amount of about $22,000 or so. So there'll be 150 new homeowners in the community this year because of this budget that we just passed. And I'd say 150 households whose lives will be changed in a really positive way. So the Office of Housing is currently accepting applications for this program. Now, as we work to increase access to home ownership, which builds generational wealth, we also need to ensure that existing homeowners are able to remain in their homes. According to data from the Federal Reserve, 12% of adults would be unable to pay their current month's bills if they had an unexpected $400 expense that they had to pay. And that percentage goes up exponentially depending on the person's educational level and race. So the home repair program helps existing homeowners stay housed by helping them pay for critical home repairs, including new HVAC systems, plumbing and roofing repairs, and electrical upgrades. And the bottom line is we don't want to have somebody have to choose between paying their mortgage, buying food, or having air conditioning, electricity, or water. Those are just not simply good choices. So in the fiscal year 22 budget, we dedicated $5.8 million for our 3 home repair programs, up from the $3 million last fiscal year, so almost doubled. So to give you an idea for the need, too, in the community, since opening applications on July the 1st, our team has now received over 800 applications and calls from people seeking that assistance. So because of that overwhelming demand, our Office of Housing has just closed applications for the home repair programs after receiving these 800-plus inquiries and applications. And so that shows you how much need there is out there, and we're going to continue to support programs like this. So here to talk more about the programs is our Office of Housing Director, Marilyn Harris, who's doing an incredible job always, but especially during this last pandemic year up to today. So we appreciate you, Marilyn. Tell us what's going on.
Hi, everyone. I am Marilyn Harris, the Director of the Office of Housing, and as the Mayor said, we've had over 800 calls and applications for the home repair program. The need has been overwhelming for quite some time, and the extra money in the budget is much appreciated. So staff is working full-time, returning calls, helping tenants get their applications and all the documents that are required. Those dollars are federal dollars, so they do have some requirements for proof of income and to ensure that the households are qualified. This year we have also included in the at-risk communities Hallmark neighborhood, which is a change. Last year we only had Russell and the other 8 West Louisville neighborhoods, as well as Smoketown and Shelby Park, but this year we've included Hallmark for some of those funds earmarked specifically for those neighborhoods, and then an additional $2.8 million of that $5.8 is going to the entire city, and that is anyone who is low income who needs assistance keeping their unit safe, warm, and dry, and that is important. We are not doing things like upgraded cabinets, things like that. That's just not what these dollars are for. These are for people who have maybe a roof leak or electrical or plumbing issues. Like we assisted Mrs. Wilson, and she had 2 bathrooms in her house. Both of them had severe structural problems and leaking. So we went in and we redid both of those bathrooms, got good solid floors in them, redid the plumbing. We also assisted with insulation to make sure the unit was warm and that her utility bills could be assisted through that. So the better insulation we have in a unit, the lower the utility bills are, and that is critically important to people who are low income. The second program that the Mayor referenced is our DPA program, and that down payment and closing cost assistance program is life-changing. And I'll just tell you about Mr. Faulkner. He was a grandfather when he bought his house last year. He has 2 sons, and he was able to purchase a house and then allow those 2 sons to move in with him. One is in the Youth Build program, and so this not only changed Mr. Faulkner's life, but it also changed his grandson's lives because it gave them a stable place to call home. And as we know, the home, the place that we lay our head, is the most important foundation in being having a good, safe environment and being able to increase your income and education. It is a foundation for all of that. So we have lots of stories like the two I've just told you, but it is important to note that they are really life-changing programs, and we're so glad that we have them, and we thank the mayor and the council for allocating these funds to us.
Thank you, Marilyn. So to give you an idea of the impact of these programs, we also have with us today some ladies who have received assistance through the down payment assistance and home repair programs. So first up is Melanie Coleman, who was a down payment assistance client last year. Melanie?
Hi. So I was a chronic renter, rented the same house for about 9 years and decided I needed something, obviously I could build some equity and permanency, and I couldn't seem to, I guess, prioritize saving enough money for the closing cost and down payment to get a reasonable rate, but I applied through an online application system that the city uses called Neighborly, and it was pretty easy. They required that I go through an Urban League class, and it actually helped me lower my interest rate somehow, but yeah, it was really easy, and now I have a house with a really good and reasonable payment, so it was good. But I probably couldn't have done. I just couldn't seem to save the money. You know, something perpetually came up. So, yep, and that was that.
Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate that. Next, we have Tony Tutt. Tony is one of our home repair clients, and Tony, if you'd tell us about your experience, we'd appreciate that.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you very much for the home repair, because like you said, when you have little money and something break down and things happen where you can't replace it, they came in and replaced my roof, my air conditioning, and my water heater, and checked my, it was a wonderful job, put it like that. It was a wonderful job, and I really appreciate it. Like you said, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't know if something happened. I wouldn't know what I would do. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, ladies. These make all the difference in the world, and it's wonderful to see people staying in their homes, people buying new homes, and just the impact that's going to have on them and then generations to come. So we remain committed to our mission to close the wealth gap in Louisville, and we'll continue to invest in programs that achieve that. So thanks again to Marilyn Harris and the Office of Housing. Thanks for our Metro Council partners for the funding as well, and for everybody on their hard work. With that, we're happy to take any questions. Sure. We've got Melanie, M-E-L-A-N-I-E, Coleman, C-O-L-E-M-A-N, and Tony, T-O-N-I, Tutt, T-U-T-T. Checking me. Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming out today.